welcome back to EC TechNest. In continuation with the previous lecture, now we'll discuss about the CMOS technology. The first one is the P-well process. CMOS, as the name represents complementary metal oxide semiconductor. This technology is a fundamental building block in modern VLSI. So in this approach, a moderately doped N-type substrate is used as the starting material, and also P-type well is created in the substrate to accommodate the N-channel MOS transistor, while the native N substrate is used for fabricating the P-channel MOS transistor. So now we'll discuss about the steps involved in the P-well process. So the first step is P-well formation. Initially we have the N-type substrate and then the P-well regions are formed. The first step involves defining the P-well region using photolithographic mask, and a deep diffusion or ion implantation process introduces the p-type dopants and also the p-well region. So this is the field oxide region, N substrate, and the p-well region. On looking at the top view, you will find it like this. That is, this is the p-tub, which is marked with the lines, and this is the p-well, which is an empty rectangle. And the step 2 is thin oxide growth. A thin, high quality silicon oxide layer is thermally grown on the exposed regions. So here you can see on the silicon dioxide layer we have thin oxide regions that are diffused, and therefore the top view would look like this after the process of etching. So the thickness of layer is crucial for the transistor's performance and determines the gate capacitance. Step 3 is polysilicon gate formation. After the thin oxide growth is formed, next step is polysilicon layer formation. So here the layer of polysilicon is deposited over the entire wafer, and this layer serves as the gate electrode. So this is the top view of the after depositing the polysilicon gate. Next one is source and drain implantation. In source and drain implantation, the P plus mask is used to define the regions where the P type dopants will be implanted. So here, after the P well is doped, in this N substrate region we have two P plus mask deposited, and therefore the top view would look like this for P plus region. For P plus region for N transistor would look the vice versa. This is the P transistor top view, and this is for the N transistor top view. Source and drain implantation. So step 5 is oxide deposition and contact formation. Photolithography is used to etch the contact holes in the oxide layer and also exposing the selected diffusion and polysilicon regions. So here the contact cuts are made in between, and after the oxide is deposited, the next step would be contact formation. Step 6 is metallization. A thin layer of aluminum or other conductive metal is deposited over this wafer. So here you can see metal mask is deposited on the layer, and metal layer is patterned and etched to form interconnection between various circuits. So this is the top view. The next step is passivation and final processing. A protective passivation layer is deposited to shield the circuit from contamination and environmental damage. And substrate and well connections. So the P well is connected to the negative supply voltage, that is VSS or ground, and N substrate is connected to positive supply voltage, that is VDD. So this is the cross section of the layout diagram of the P well substrate. So the next one would be advanced P well process. This is the advancement of the P well process that we have discussed now. So this process is called retrograde P-well process. To overcome the limitation of conventional P-well diffusion, so we have introduced an advanced P-well process that is called retrograde P-well process. So in which high energy boron implantation is done instead of the thermal diffusion, and the implanted dopants remain at a controlled depth and also reducing the diffusion. So the characteristics or the properties on which it depends is junction depth, sheet resistance, and the threshold voltage. So this is the oxide or nitride sandwich, and this is the field oxide along with the N substrate. After you deposit the photoresist layer, boron implantation is done. So implant penetrates the field oxide to form the channel, and after this P-well is formed. Next, polysilicon layer as well as the gate oxide layer is deposited, finally forming the aluminum contacts. So this is the upgradation of P-well process, that is the retrograde P-well process. Next is CMOS-C process, that is another enhancement of the P-well CMOS technology. The key features include boron implants define the P-channel transistor. So here we are using phosphorus implant that defines the N-channel transistors, and enhanced field oxide processing minimizes the thinning effect, also known as bird's beak. So in this, boron implantation is done for the p channel transistors and phosphorus implantation is done for n channel transistors. So the steps remain same, only the type of the metal that is used is different. So here first we have the N substrate region along with the thin oxide layer. After that, high energy boron implantation is done to set the threshold voltage of N channel device, and low energy boron implantation is done along with the P-well formation in the third process. Then it will form a thick oxide region. After thick oxide region is formed, polysilicon layer is deposited along with the formation of polygates. It is also called as Hewlett-Packard CMOS process. This topic is challenges and consideration. So the main challenge is threshold voltage control. The P-well doping concentration must be carefully optimized to achieve the desired voltage, threshold voltage. And next is parasitic capacitance. The N transistor in the P-well experiences high source or drain capacitance, which can affect the switching speed. And the other important characteristics would be latch-up prevention and area consideration. Now we'll discuss about the N-well process. N-well process is most commonly used in CMOS fabrication techniques, and the key advantage of N-well process is it enables the integration of both N-channel and P-channel MOSFET on a P-type substrate. So the steps involved in N-well CMOS process is substrate preparation, in which a P-type silicon substrate is used as the base material and a thin oxide layer is grown to protect the silicon surface. And the step 2 is N-well formation. On the P substrate, N-well is formed and the phosphorus implant introduces the N-type dopants, and high temperature diffusion step ensures proper well depth and uniformity. The third step is activation area definition, in which the oxide thickness is adjusted to for the device to be in the isolation region. Next step is threshold voltage adjustment. A light p-type doping step adjusts the threshold voltage of transistors. The step 5 is polysilicon gate formation. A thin oxide layer is grown as the gate oxide and polysilicon is deposited, patterned and etched to form the gates. Next step is source and drain formation. Arsenic, which is N-type, is implanted for the N-channel source and drain, and boron, that is P-type, is implanted for the P-channel source and drain. The next step is contact and metallization, in which we are creating contacts, openings and are etched to expose the terminals, and aluminum is deposited and patterned for interconnection. Next step, the characteristics of N-well process would be PMOS transistors in N-well and NMOS transistors in P substrate. So comparison of the N-well and P-well CMOS processes. In N-well CMOS we use P-type, whereas in P-well CMOS we use N-type substrate material. Whereas the well type is N-well in N-well CMOS and P-well in P-well CMOS. And PMOS location is inside N-well, and in P-well it is directly the substrate, and NMOS location is directly in the P substrate for N-well and inside the P-well for P-well CMOS. So advantages would be it is compatible with NMOS processes where better noise isolation, and P-well CMOS has lower junction capacitance for PMOS. Disadvantage would be higher body effect for PMOS, and for P-well process it would be requires additional processing for NMOS. Next one is the Berkeley N-well process, which is described using the PIDL, that is Process Input Description Language. So here we are processing the input description language commands. Substrate defines the substrate type and impurity level, and oxide specifies the oxide thickness. Deposition is for the deposits of the material layer, and etching is the process of removing material to a specified depth, and doping is introducing dopants to control the electrical properties. Mask is defining the patterns region for processing. Next is twin tub process. It is also one of the very most important question that's asked in most of the exams. In module 3, it will be mostly the theory questions and not the derivation. So they may ask questions regarding explain about N-well or P-well CMOS process or the twin tub process. So in twin tub process, one such advancement is the twin well or twin tub CMOS process, which enables independent optimization of both N and P type transistors. So the key features would be it has independent optimization along with threshold voltage control and has improved body effect and gain along with reduced latch-up susceptibility. The key steps involved in twin tub process would be first is the substrate preparation, in which a lightly doped silicon wafer is used as the starting material and thin oxide layer is grown to serve as the protective layer. The second step is twin tub formation, in which both P and N well are formed and created by selective ion implantation. The third step is threshold voltage adjustment, in which we are trying to um, adjust the threshold along with the implant and to control the transistor threshold voltages. Next step is field oxidation and isolation, in which field oxide is grown to isolate different transistor gates or regions. After the field oxide and isolation is done, it is the polysilicon deposition and gate formation, in which a thin gate oxide layer is thermally grown and polysilicon is deposited and patterned to form the gate electrode. Source and drain implantation, that is arsenic is implanted into the P-well to form NMOS structure and drain, whereas boron, that is P-type, is implanted into the N-well to form PMOS source and drain. Next is contact cut definition, in which openings are etched to allow metal contacts to connect to the source, drain and gate terminal. In metallization, metal layers are deposited and patterned to create interconnection. Next would be advantages of twin tub process, that is independent optimization, enhanced performance and improved latch-up immunity. To illustrate the twin tub process, you can also use the flow chart that is given here. Instead of writing theoretically sentences, you can represent it using the flow chart also. But in some cases, if it is for more marks, then you have to write both of them. You have to write the flow chart as well as its explanation. So the first step is mask 1, that is well definition. Well regions are defined. N well is implanted and selectively oxidized. Similarly, P well is implanted, and next would be well formation, and next would be field oxidation. After everything is formed, field oxide would be etched to define the areas where gate oxide is required. The last step would be polysilicon patterning, in which polysilicon deposition is done and then it is patterned, and then passivation, contact cut and cuts for bonding pads would be made. So this is the AT&T Bell Laboratories twin tub process step. Next one would be the final structure. After so the figure below represents the twin tub cross section and layout of an inverter. The conclusion would be the independent formation at P and N well allows better control over the transistor parameters such as threshold voltage, gain and body effect. Next important topic is SOI CMOS technology, that is silicon on insulator CMOS technology. The steps are same, but the order in which they occur are different in this. And also the names of each step is different. Initially it is substrate preparation, in which a thin layer of lightly doped n-type silicon is grown on an insulating substrate. Next step is island formation, in which n or p islands are formed, or the diffusion regions are formed, along with the formation of photoresist along with upon the silicon dioxide layer. And after that, doping of p islands, the N islands are masked with photoresist and a p-type dopant is implanted to form the p island. After the p islands are formed, the next step would be the doping for N islands. And after both the N islands and p islands are formed, the next step would be gate oxide formation, in which a thin gate oxide is grown over the silicon structure using the thermal oxidation. The next step is polysilicon deposition, in which a polysilicon film is deposited over the oxide and doped with the phosphorus to reduce the resistivity. Source or drain formation for N-channel devices. After the polysilicon deposition is done, source and drain terminals are formed. After source and drain terminals are formed for both N-channel and P-channel device, it is insulator deposition and metallization in order to create contact cuts. It is done by the process of etching, and aluminum is evaporated and patterned to form interconnects. The last step would be passivation. The final passivation layer of phosphorus glass is deposited and etched over bonding pad locations. So the advantages would be higher density, lower parasitic capacitance, no latch up, no body effect, and no field inversion problem. The challenges would be the input protection along with the lower device gains and high cost. Comparison of etch techniques would be isotropic etch, anisotropic etch, and preferential etch. So these are the etching techniques, three different types of etching techniques. It is classified into three types based on their characteristics. Next is the layout design rules. In layout design rules, we also called as the lambda based design rules, in which it is a certain criteria we have to follow for designing the layout of a circuit. So there are conservative rules and aggressive rules. In conservative rules, it is of higher reliability but may limit the performance. But in aggressive rules, the potential performance gain but may reduce the fabrication yield. So key design rule constraint would be line width. Line width for too narrow may cause discontinuities, whereas too close may result in short circuit. And the second one is interlayer registration, in which incorrect spacing between layers can cause electrical and manufacturing defect. Next is the types of design rules. Types of design rules would be micron based design rules, which specifies the minimum feature size and spacing in absolute micron values. And the second one is alpha and beta rules. Uses beta as a reference for feature size and alpha is the minimum required grid spacing. Lambda based rules was introduced by Med and Conway, and lambda based rules uses a single parameter lambda to define all its feature sizes. So lambda based scaling is only an approximation and may not be suitable for commercial circuits. So this is the lambda based rules for thin ox, polysilicon and aluminium. Next is layer representation in CMOS circuit. Layer representation has different color schemes and also the line style. So for P-well it is brown and thin oxide it is green. For poly it is red, and for metal one it is light blue, metal 2 dark blue, and contact cut it's black in color. And the alternate representation would be this table, that is the alternate representation for P-well CMOS process. And so this is the lambda based layout rules. The minimum distance between the, so these rules are based on the dimension. For P-well, the minimum P-well width should be 4 lambda and minimum distance to the external thin ox should be 5 lambda. Similarly, each and every mask has the different lambda values. So Next is the pictorial representation. So whatever is discussed in this table, it is represented in the form of a picture. That is, the width between two thin should be 2 lambda. So you have to draw the diagram based on the mask values that is given here, and then explain about the lambda based design rules. That's all for this lecture. Thank you.